David Ellison has made the decision that, no, for this, what we do here, this is a collaborative process. We're not doing customer service. We're not taking one-on-one customer service phone calls. That may work from home. This doesn't here. We cannot run a film and television production company from our homes. We cannot create the biggest and best film and television empire in the world from our homes. This is what a real leader like David Ellison's thought process is when it comes to doing this.
Renegade Online.
Paramount. I'm going to tell you what, as much as I love what David Zaslav is doing, and he ain't perfect, right? He ain't perfect. Look, Superman wasn't the greatest movie on earth, but let me tell you what, it's going to be the highest grossing superhero film of the year by $100 million, beating everything that Disney farted out. It's going to lose a lot less money at the box office than all the Disney things, not named Lilo and Stitch, which, again, I know it sounds like a weird cope, and it kind of is, but when you look at the body of work this year from Warner Brothers, the rest of it has been, it's a money printing machine, and they're doing outstanding work. This is the guy right here, David Ellison, who is going to give David Zaslav a run for his freaking money. I think, it's too early to tell for sure, but I think David Ellison is going to give Zaslav a run for his money as Valiant's favorite Hollywood executive. I really can't wait to see what this guy does. If you don't know who the Ellisons are, you probably have heard of his father, Larry Ellison, who is the founder of Oracle. It's one of the biggest tech companies that ever existed. I had clients that worked for Oracle for 20 years that retired from there, millionaires, kind of thing. Oracle is a big outfit. David Ellison is the son, Larry's son, who is now running Paramount. He's the guy that owns Skydance, and they bought out Paramount. This is like Elon Musk kind of stuff, right? I'm going to come in. This company's a mess. I'm going to put in my personal money. I'm going to buy this company out because it desperately needs fixing, because it's ruining American society with bad product or its industry. That was Elon Musk when it came to social media. I think that's a lot of David Ellison's attitude now when it comes to Hollywood. Hollywood's a pile of shit. I want to come in and I want to fix it, and I want to make better stuff. I want to make more Top Gun Mavericks. I want to make more Edge of Tomorrows, Tom Cruise kind of films that everybody gets behind. Even the Mission Impossible stuff that didn't, in the last two iterations of the film, didn't do great at the box office, but they're still a big money machine for Paramount in the collective work. They really are. Post-theatrical, they're a big money machine. But even still, people don't look at those movies and go, oh my God, it was woke as shit. It wasn't. And that's what Hollywood needs more of right now. Less woke crap. I think David Ellison's going to be that guy. Paramount institutes a company-wide return to work mandate. I love this story. The new Paramount leadership continues to put their mark on the company following the Skydance acquisition. The latest is a return to office policy that requires all employees of Paramount to be in the office 5 days a week. Oh my God, the horror. Oh no. People actually have to show up to work? What is this world coming to? What are all the Phillies Karens going to do? 5 days a week. That is more than any traditional Hollywood studios, and in line with tech companies' are return to work, return to office rules. So he is being more strict than even David Zaslav is with this. Yeah. The mandate was announced in a company-wide email sent by Chairman and CEO David Ellison Thursday morning, a copy of which was obtained by deadline. Gee, I wonder why. I think the employees got this and they were a little pissed off. You can see it now, right? It's probably like all the LGBTQ folks were at Pixar during the whole Florida Don't Say Gay Bill thing. They ran to Variety complaining how Kareem Daniel and Bob Chapek forced them to take out all the lesbian gay stuff from Lightyear. This is the same thing. This is the same kind of crowd bitching and whining that the new boss is actually going to make us work and produce a product that people want and that makes money. To achieve what we've set out to do and truly unlock Paramount's full potential, we must make meaningful changes that position us for long-term success. These changes are about building a stronger, more connected and agile organization that can deliver on our goals and compete at the highest level. We have a lot to accomplish, David Ellison says, and we're moving fast. We need to all be rowing in the same direction, and especially when you're dealing with a creative business like ours. That begins with being together in person. With this in mind, we will begin a phased, not like tomorrow, not Monday, not after CSI, Family Guy joke, a phased return to office plan starting in January of 26. Bruh. He's given these guys 4 months to prepare for this. 4 months. Not next Tuesday. January 26th, 4 months from now. Time to prepare. Ultimately moving, he says, towards an in-person work environment where employees are in the office full-time 5 days a week. This is a problem for some people. Now, let me tell you what. David Ellison, and we'll come back to the article here. David Ellison is 1,000% correct. If you are a business, okay, remember, you are spending your capital or the capital of the business's shareholders in the case of publicly traded companies, as Skydance and Paramount still is. You are stewards of shareholder capital. You are stewards of financial performance. You are the fiduciaries responsible for the capital that is in there and invested by shareholders. And yes, the Ellisons are a big portion of that capital right now. But they want to grow it so that the average Joes that own Paramount stock, now Skydance stock and everything, can enjoy some growth as well. This is how the real world works, right? This isn't blue-haired hippie land where we can all pretend that we're on a short bus and act like everything is just roses and sunshine and Mickey Mouse and everything else. Well, okay, I should take that back because even Bob Iger doesn't act like Mickey Mouse is Mickey Mouse. I don't even know if Bob Iger knows what Mickey's pronouns are. But Ellison is right. If you want a company to be firing on all cylinders, you cannot have a disparate group of people out there all working from their houses, especially when you need them working together, because when you do creative stuff, you need collaboration. Creativity is collaborative at this scale. Now, I mean, I work with companies, here and there that when I call up and I need to talk to a back office person or a compliance officer or something like this, a lot of times I'm getting somebody on the phone who's working out of their house. Because you can hear the baby in the background, the dog in the background. They'll tell you, I'm sorry, that's my dog barking in the background. I get that too when we do shows here, right? That's some of those places, some of those kind of jobs you can work from home. But let's be honest, David Ellison has made the decision that, no, for this, what we do here, this is a collaborative process. We're not doing customer service. We're not taking one-on-one customer service phone calls. We're not doing that. That may work from home. This doesn't here. We cannot run a film and television production company from our homes. We cannot create the biggest and best film and television empire in the world from our homes. I'm not saying that Paramount or Skydance is currently, or that they will be. I'm trying to relay this is what a real leader like David Ellison's thought process is when it comes to doing this. You need to be in the office. And if you can't be here, then we're going to have to go out and find somebody who can. That's how jobs work. You don't own your job. You lease your job from the company that owns the job. People who don't understand that are going to find themselves out of a job. I promise you. Okay? Nobody's entitled to a job, and especially nobody's entitled to do a job where they want to do it and in a manner they want to do it. There is no such job. If you want a job like that, you won't have a job. You need to go out and start your own business and be the business owner and risk and invest your own capital to do that. That's how capitalism works. But if you want somebody else to give you a paycheck and take the risk of income and joblessness, if you want to take the risk of not being able to meet your bills largely off the table, then you're going to be sacrificing some autonomy and some independence, and you're going to ask somebody else to give you a salary and do a job for them and their business, along with all the other employees, right? And that's the most common thing that happens in America. And there's nothing wrong with that. Don't misunderstand. I'm not knocking that. But for the folks out there that complain about the return to work issues, as has been happening now for several years since the post-COVID era, this is going to be one of those things. And, lo and behold, it should be no surprise that the most lefty of the left people out there, the Hollywood fruit bag types, as we call them, are going to bitch and whine the most, without question. These changes are about building stronger, more connected and agile organization that can deliver on the goals and compete at the highest level. We have a lot to accomplish, and we're moving fast. Ellison says we need to be all rowing in the same direction. And especially when you're dealing with a creative business like ours that begins with being together in person. That's the phased-in return to work. This is not a shocking development. Some sort of return to office policy had been expected. The question is, what would be the extent of it? And this was one of the first things the new post-merger regime they bring up here. This is what Zaslav did. They implemented was bringing Warner Media employees back into the office at the time 3 days a week. Now, man, you only did it 3 days. Remember, when David Zaslav walked in the room for the first time at Warner Brothers, it was early May or late April of 2022. Most companies at that point probably still hadn't even put any such edict out there to return to the office. David Zaslav was one of the early birds to that worm, right? At that scale. I'm not talking about small businesses. I'm talking about at that scale. Paramount president Jeff Shell told reporters at last month's press conference marking the close of the Skydance merger that he had been struck by how sparsely populated the company's current headquarters are at 1515 Broadway. We need to figure that out, Jeff Shell said. As Deadline has reported, plans call for Paramount to shift its corporate headquarters from the Times Square building to the Melrose lot in L.A. Honestly, if David Ellison, I know that it's not something you can do overnight. Get the hell out of California. Just leave. Just get the frick out of California. Rip the Band-Aid off. You just bought the company. Why saddle it underneath a bunch of Gavin Newsom garbage? Just get the hell out of there. Just do it. Do it. Elon's doing it. You need to do it. I know it's a different thing because Elon's purchase of X was a private sale. It's not publicly traded. Paramount Skydance still is publicly traded. So there is a different dynamic here, folks, but I'm just saying, maybe take the opportunity. My opinion. According to sources, there were no unified Paramount global work policies, with employees typically spending 2 to 3 days a week in the office. The severance opt-in window for New York and LA employees will be this month. So in other words, hey, this is where we're going. If you would like to continue your job, it doesn't sound like that David Ellison is asking them to move, swaths of people to move, uproot, and move across the country. It's just, we need you to come into the office from now on to do your job like you're supposed to, like has been done for, hundreds of years in this country. If you would not like that, here's a generous severance offer. Leave. But it's not that generous. I can't buy a house on that. And it's not paying me. Technically, unless you got something under contract, you're probably not entitled to anything. The fact that there's a severance offer on the table may suggest that they're trying to make this as amenable as possible. But the leadership team here knows they need to move on. They need to get this done. The departures, if not backfilled, will likely be counted towards the number of positions slated for elimination across theatrical, streaming, linear, and all other divisions, expected between 2,500 and 3,000 layoffs, as the new Paramount leadership has pledged more than $2 billion in post-merger cost cutting. Damn! That tells me that maybe, just maybe, that Paramount, prior to David Ellison coming in, may have had a bit of fat on it. It may have been a little bit Lizzo, pre-Ozempic. And that's part of what this is. We need the best of the best. We need you in the office. If you can't be at the office, no problem. Take your severance check and walk. Because we need to lay off people anyway. You can either be part of the team going forward, or you can volunteer not to be. No hard feelings. Best of luck to you. Have a great day. This is how you do it. This is how you do it. You separate the wheat from the chaff. Make sure you're subscribed to Valiant Renegade and join us every Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern for the live show.